Mexico has been the tourism powerhouse in Latin America for decades. It hadn't had a rival until now. And the country that's competing with it, well, it's a country that's not even in the Americas. How? Well, with the increase in international flights and easier visas, tourist destinations no longer need to be close to each other to compete. That's how Thailand is competing with Mexico as one of the most visited countries by Americans, Canadians, and Europeans. But is it really better? Does it have better things? Well, the truth is that they're almost tied in everything except for one key point, and this is where Mexico is falling short, and it's very important. It affects all of us, and we have to look at it because this doesn't just affect tourists, but the general population as well. But let's start by looking at all the aspects that a tourist considers before deciding where to get on a plane to. Costs, visas, beaches, food, music, nightlife, friendliness of the locals, natural wealth, currency exchange, safety, language, and the overall experience. To find out if Thailand can beat Mexico and take away its title as one of the most visited countries in the world, let's start with the mandatory part. You know, the videos on this channel can't come out without offending someone. So, let's get it over with. So this part of the video where some people get offended is done. Let's begin.
No matter what you say about your religion, this is never going to be okay. Never for those who define their religion. It's just that you have to respect the ideology. The man is in a swimsuit and the woman like that? I'm sorry. With all due respect, this is never going to be okay.
There you go, gentlemen who get offended. Here's your daily dose of offensive opinion. And to those who weren't offended, well, who agree, greetings. Well, greetings also to those who were offended. Well, greetings to everyone. We continue with a point-by-point comparison. We start with the cost, comparing aspect by aspect, putting Thailand and Mexico head-to-head. According to the reference index from the companies Interact, Visa, and Expedia, Mexico is Mexico. It turns out to be more expensive. In some places it's not much more expensive, but in some destinations like Cancun, it is much more expensive. This is due to several reasons: gentrification and proximity to the United States. So, in terms of price, that's a point in favor of Thailand, but this could balance out. If you live in Latin America, well, Thailand is in Asia, but if you arrive in Mexico from Latin America or another part of Mexico, the price of the flight makes up for it. Now, let's look at the nightlife. Here it's a tie. There aren't any numbers we can check. Everything is based on travelers' opinions, and it gives us a tie. Mexico is noted for being less safe. But so far this hasn't affected popular opinion, and it hasn't decreased the number of tourists who go out partying. Let's move on to the music. Mexico definitely wins because of its variety of live music, songs that are unique to Mexico, and singers with their own original songs. In Thailand, the main observation or complaint at tourist sites my opinion is also that the bands only play covers of American music without giving space to their own vibe of identity or culture. When I came to Thailand, I wanted to listen to Thai music. I said, let's see how this music is. But all I heard were American covers, and yes, I did hear a little bit of Thai music. But most of it is classic rock in English from the United States. When you hear live music, then, if I want to listen to American music, I'd rather just go to the United States. Here's a point for Mexico. At restaurants and beaches, there are always musicians playing Mexican music. But the beaches in Thailand have an ace up their sleeve.
Which one is in Thailand? Look at those rock formations. They're like cathedrals, like buildings inside the lake. I mean, looking out to the horizon and seeing the blue sea while you're on a white sand beach. Wow, it's unmatched, but if you add those rock formations on the horizon, they make it look even more beautiful. Look, and of course, other geographic areas have them too. I know, of course, but here in Thailand is where there are thousands here. So how could Mexico compete against this advantage that Thailand has with its rock formations? Mexico offers live music on its beaches. That doesn't exist here, at least in the time I've been here. I haven't seen it, but there are some people who say, oh no, that just ruins the beach, it ruins the experience. What do you think? Leave music on the beaches? Yes or no? Let me know.
They're going to wrap up the beach aspect. It's a tie. But if you like live music, then go to the beaches in Mexico. And if you don't, then go to the ones in Thailand. And speaking of beaches, another aspect that depends on everyone's taste is present in both countries. Beaches crowded with umbrella rentals.
Advantages and disadvantages when the sun is at its strongest. Well, there are people on the beach who rent you umbrellas, rent you chairs, or they let you sit if you have the minimum purchase. But in moments like this, when the sunset is here, you're free to sit wherever you want, as long as the umbrellas don't block your view. Which of the two do you prefer? Mexico and Thailand are very different and at the same time very similar. They offer many of the things that tourists are looking for. They are some of the only countries in the world where you can find all of them and much more in a single country. That's why they go.
All the destinations featured in this video were brought to you thanks to your guide in Thailand. Your best option for guided tours throughout Thailand with Thai guides who speak Spanish. If you're looking to plan or organize your trip to Thailand, or you're just curious to see what's available, I'll leave their information here so you can check out all their packages and website. Don't forget your guide in Thailand, your best option for exploring Thailand in Spanish. Now let's continue with food. The food here in Mexico wins, but just barely. It doesn't win by much. Thai food isn't far behind. It's very diverse, natural, organic, delicious. There's a bit of everything. Spicy, a little salty, with broth, crunchy. It has many types of chilies for those who like spicy food. There are many ways to cook seafood, chicken, meats, especially pork. During the months I was here, I ate pork about 5 times a day without getting bored. And now my cholesterol is through the roof. I mean, I'm already old, ugly, divorced, and now I have high cholesterol. That's it, I'm done for. Oh, just take me already, Majin Buu. Well, depending on your taste, Thai food is undeniably great. Good flavor, good spice, good portions, excellent prices. But even so, in Mexico we have a little more variety. Maybe. Me, because I'm Mexican, I'm being impartial, I'm being guided by my sense of Mexican identity. So you guys are going to have to come and taste for yourselves.
Another example of Thailand and Mexico competing. Look, there are people here who don't like the beach, and the country has to offer you an option that's not the beach or salt water. Well, in Cancun they offer us these so-called cenotes, which are surrounded by vegetation and have blue crystal clear water. So it's the same in Thailand, but different. This is their version of cenotes. You're going to take a very pleasant walk through the jungle, enjoying nature and fresh air, and then you arrive here. Look, yes.
See?
It
parallels.
Which are these two countries. Something very important here is connectivity. So you can go from island to island, and so you can get from the cities to these islands. Well, in that regard, Thailand and Mexico are the same, but there's one aspect where Thailand is doing a little better. And forgive me for saying this, forgive me for being the idiot clown who brings it up. But in Mexico, well, at least in Cancun, we have a transportation mafia where taxi drivers beat up Uber drivers. They are completely reckless. Even with an international tourist in the car, they don't care. They drag the driver out by force and scare the tourist. This doesn't happen here in Thailand. And if we don't get our act together to fix that taxi mafia in Cancun, Thailand is going to start beating us. Let's say a tourist from Russia or Ukraine says, well, where should I go, Mexico or Thailand? Both are beautiful. They're like paradise on earth. But in one of them, taking an Uber from the airport to your hotel could result in taxi drivers breaking your window. Broken glass could hit you or your children in the face, cutting you or even making you lose an eye. They might also pull the driver out and beat him. And here in Thailand, well, no. Which one do you think people are going to choose? Okay? Later, I'm going to do a much more complete report about this. The taxi mafia in Cancun. For now, I'm just mentioning it as an aspect of our tourism industry that urgently needs to improve. And here's another observation, please. Don't take it the wrong way. I'm sharing it in the best possible spirit. When you pay in dollars and you're a foreigner, here they don't want to overcharge you. We saw it with this guy, that the taxi driver tried to charge him $1,000 for the ride from Cancun airport to his hotel. What? What is that? Again, I'm not saying this to criticize Mexico, but to draw attention to it, to fix those little details, because they're going to lead to another country beating us.
And we continue here with a very sensitive, very controversial aspect, difficult to address: security. And this is the aspect where Thailand is beating Mexico and Mexico is falling behind, and this is going to affect all of us. A very large part of Mexico's gross domestic product of its economy comes from tourism. We already saw this with Acapulco. It's the perfect example of how crime can ruin a tourist destination. Acapulco was, look, the first world-class international cities that ever existed. All the Hollywood artists wanted to go, they wanted to have their mansions there, movies were filmed there, the big-name artists went there to shoot their videos. What Dubai, New York and Ibiza are now, that used to be Acapulco, but we already saw what happened. It became so unsafe that it stopped being what it used to be, and this is going to happen to the whole country. We're seeing it in Cancun, where now there are shootings in places where there are tourists, and even if the tourists aren't affected, they get scared and don't come back, and this keeps spreading until there start to be more human losses. And the relatives of those human losses will never come back to Mexico. They'll tell their family members never to go to Mexico, and that's how all of Mexico will turn into Acapulco. I'll give you an example, my state of Chiapas. Look at how horrible it is right now, how unsafe it is, and it's a beautiful place. I want to go on vacation, I want to go with my friends from Canada, and they tell me, hey, I really want to go to Mexico. Which places in Chiapas do you recommend? With all my heartache, I have to tell you, you know what? As a proud Mexican and a proud Chiapanecan, I have to tell you, don't go to Chiapas. It's not safe. A lot of things could happen to you and the authorities won't help you. So this is the topic I wanted to mention to you guys. Mexico is a tourism powerhouse, but if this wave of insecurity continues, it won't stay that way. And this isn't just Cancun or Chiapas, it's all of Mexico. And it's not just Mexico. Sadly, many countries in Latin America are in this situation. I've been reading the list of the safest countries for tourists and the safest cities to visit, and it made me really sad to see. There are very few cities in Latin America on this list, just one. I think it's one in Panama, one in Costa Rica, and Uruguay and Paraguay, and I think that's it. All the rest are just pure insecurity. Well, El Salvador, the capital, and some cities in El Salvador have just been added to that list. If the progress that their president is making in terms of security continues, El Salvador will add more cities to this list. But the big capitals of Latin America, the big cities in Mexico, Colombia, Venezuela, Argentina, sadly, they're not safe, guys.
But Thailand is... It's 3 a.m. here. I'm outside an ATM. Drunk Americans come to withdraw money and they're 100% safe. This wouldn't be possible in Latin America, unfortunately.
And we come to the next point. The concept that the beach belongs to everyone is not just a concept, it's a law. In Mexico, the law, the Constitution, says exactly that. The beach belongs to everyone, therefore hotels and resorts can't block access to the beach. In other words, they can't tell you the beach is theirs and you can't enter. Supposedly, 20 meters from where the waves break is for everyone, it's public property. They can't kick you out, they can't charge you. This is in the Constitution. Now in real life, we see that things are very different. Many hotels block access points, and even though the beach is for everyone, yes, but when you try to get there, they don't let you in, it's blocked. Well, here in Thailand, this happens much less, even if there are hotels that have private entrances. There are beaches separated by rocks in the water, and you can't get there unless you're staying at that hotel. But generally here in Thailand, this phenomenon of hotel companies abusing beach rights is much less common.
Because if you're not staying at the hotel, they come to kick you out.
Or they simply hire security guards who are there on the beach, and if you don't know your rights, well, you'll just leave. Once in Cancun, I was sitting on the sand, just like that, on the public beach. And a guy came, a security guard from one of the hotels in Mexico, and told me I had to leave, so I left. I didn't know. If I had known, I would have said, "No, sir, thank you very much." I'm exercising my constitutional right to stay on the public beach in Mexico since beaches belong to Mexicans and you can do what you want. That's what I would have said, but I didn't know my rights. The hotel tells them to kick people off the beach, and if you don't know your rights, you just leave.
Mountains like that. I had seen in Mexico, in the state of Morelos, the area of Tepoztlan.
But not as much.
Like these, look, they look like that show called Ranma in Medio. Look, so specifically speaking of massive pointy mountains by the thousands, just like this one, does Thailand win?
Before making a video, I tried to visualize it. I imagined more or less how the finished video is going to look. Before making this video, I imagined it as a comparison between the beaches, saying this one looks like this one and this one like that one. And I wanted to show you both beaches side by side on the screen. I mean, one next to the other, so you can see and compare them. I find the most similar place in Thailand and Mexico, then place them side by side to show their similarity. But the truth is, no, I didn't find exactly what I was imagining.
We're never going to find an identical place, or one that's better, or that beats it, but we can find an equivalent. And if you're wondering, well, if you get close to those stones, those rock formations, what do they look like up close? Well, here, look, they look more or less like this, look. Huge, very big, slanted, and once you get close, you can see a lot of stalactites, you can see the seepage, and you can see the erosion, which is how they were formed. If you like rock climbing,
Look.
here is your paradise.
And let's see the wildlife. Well, Mexico has manatees, dolphins. In Chiapas, we have jaguars, tourist attractions, so people come and take pictures. Well, what does Thailand have? Oh, well, a really good one, elephants, and it's very hard to compete with that.
So in conclusion, both countries are unique, beautiful, exciting, and offer an unforgettable travel experience. Whether you choose Mexico or Thailand, it doesn't matter which one. You're going to
Have a great time.
have a great time. Beautiful nature, adventures, new experiences. That's my report. May courage be with you. See you next time.